Hi, my name is Tyler with Electric Personal Training, and this is the Skullcrusher. Now, the Skullcrusher is a great free weight exercise for the lateral and medial heads of the tricep. We are going to be using dumbbells in this video, but they can be done with an easy curl bar or a barbell, though I do recommend the dumbbells. As with many of our other dumbbell movements, the dumbbells are going to allow us much more range of motion, which is very significant on the Skullcrusher because despite the name, we actually don't want to crush our skulls. So we want to have a piece of equipment that will allow us to translate past the face and get that extra stretch on the tricep. Now we're going to need a bench. You can add a bit of incline, it's entirely up to you. I'm going to be showing it flat here, but one of the key points of our Skullcrusher is to keep the elbows in place. Now we want to keep the elbows in place and hinge at the elbows, but not actually move them back and forth. This is a very common issue that causes the lats to be far too involved. If we want to introduce a slight stretch on the Skullcrusher, we can allow our elbows to drift back slightly as we come back, but we don't want to be performing a pullover. That is, we don't want them to move more than a couple degrees, and we definitely don't want them drifting forward. We'll go ahead and grab our dumbbells. We're going to lie flat on the bench, bring the dumbbells up in front of us to the starting position, and bend back towards our face, and back up, and back up. Now, one of the key points here is that my elbows do come back a little bit to allow me a full stretch like I mentioned. This is perfectly fine. What we don't want is to allow this or this. It will shift the work to the lats by rotating the elbows too much, as it is their function to move the elbow and the upper arm entirely in that motion. Another way we could work the lateral and medial heads that is similar to a Skullcrusher is going to be a close grip bench press or an underhand bench press. Either one are going to be more tricep focused bench press options that we can perform to take the chest out of it a little bit and put a little bit more emphasis on the triceps. Now note that because we are taking the chest out of it, we are going to be using a bit less weight, so don't just put your regular bench weight on there and expect to do it the way that we would normally do it. But we are going to go ahead and grab either a barbell or a Smith machine. I'm going to recommend the Smith machine because these are both very unstable positions, so the extra stability helps. And we are going to perform a bench press either with a close grip or an underhand grip. Now with the close grip, we just want them close. We don't want them on top of each other because it's going to put too much pressure on our wrists. We just want them inside shoulder width. Especially if you're doing this with a free barbell, we definitely don't want to put them on top of each other because even the slightest shift on one side is going to cause so much wrist pain that it's going to make the exercise more dangerous than it's worth. Now to set up for the close grip bench, we're just going to grab nice and close and press like so. Now for an underhand bench, we go a little wider and press underhand. These exercises are okay at hitting the triceps. They're not terrible. There are definitely better options, but they are fun to throw in from time to time just to see what you can do because you are going to be able to handle a good amount of weight on these compared to your other tricep exercises, so they can be fun to include. If there's something you enjoy, absolutely include them. However, we do have better options. All right, so if we're going to improve on the Skullcrusher, why not go ahead and jump up to arguably the best exercise for the lateral and medial heads. The JM press has been designed to perfectly target everything about the lateral and medial heads of the tricep. Now we're going to take advantage of the shortcomings of the Skullcrusher here. The Skullcrusher has shortcomings because the lateral and medial heads gain their most internal leverage. That means they take over the most, they're the strongest at closer to extension, full extension of the elbow. That means as we straighten, the arms are going to be a little bit stronger. Now, the Skullcrusher has the opposite when it comes to its resistance curve. It is going to be extremely easy towards the top as gravity lines up with our forearms. And that means that our forearms are holding it up, but there's nothing pushing us into elbow flexion, so our triceps have nothing to push against. We're going to correct for this by adding in this band here. The band is going to have the elastic property that as it stretches, it gains more resistance. We're also going to use the Smith machine just for stability, but this could be performed with a free bar. Although note, using anything other than a Smith machine with the bands is going to be a very high stabilization demand because they have a very awkward way of pulling on things. Now we're going to go ahead and set up for this like we are doing a bench press, but we are going to go with a position that puts it right above our face because this is really more of a skull crusher. We're setting up with a relatively narrow grip. I usually go right about shoulder width, a little bit inside, and coming overhand. We're going to press up, and just like the skull crusher, let the bar come to our head and push. And that is our giant press. This is a great exercise to include for working the lateral and medial heads of the tricep, especially counteracting the shortcomings of the skull crusher and actually using them as a strength for the exercise by using the resistance bands. And that's about going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content and want to see more fitness content from EPT, go ahead and subscribe here for more videos, as well as on Facebook and Instagram at EPT Evanston. And if you haven't already, check out our free fitness tracking app on the App Store for free, available now.